Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Guys, now in today I'm going to explain you how to find the domain of a square root function where the square root functions have a quadratic equation type 4, or you can say type D. Okay, this is my last lecture of domain of square root functions, and the square root functions have a quadratic equation, right? So please, this is very important lecture. Okay, now we will just move to the questions. For example, I'm going to explain you about a type 4. Type 4, right? In type 4, we will see the value of D. Okay, D is always less than 0. D is always less than 0, and A is also less than 0. Both cases, right? What was type 3? A greater than 0 but D less than 0. In type 4, we have D less than 0 and A is less than 0. The same question I will take, whatever the question I have taken in my previous lecture. Okay, but I will change the questions and will write in this format. Okay, for example, I have this question, y is equal to, in type 3 the question was like this, x square plus x plus 1, right? You have this one, and here I'm going to write down this minus side, or you can say this can be written as minus x square minus x minus 1. Okay, when you find the nature of this one, you will find here a is what? Less than 0, right? And D the same, okay, is less than 0. How? You can check here. D is equal to b square minus 4ac. D is the discriminant here. What is b? Minus 1 whole square. Minus 4a is minus 1 and c is minus 1. So you can say this is 1 minus plus. So this is 4, which is what? 1 minus 4 minus 3. D is equal to minus 3, which means D is what? Less than 0. And A is what? Less than 0. Means this is type 4. Type 3 was D is less than 0 but A is greater than 0. Okay guys, here this is a very interesting question, right? And what is the question? The question is, find the domain. Find the domain, okay, of such function. For example, you have these two functions. This one, y is equal to the same things, right? Minus x square plus x plus 1, right? See, here means in type 3, I told you, whenever you have D is less than 0, whenever you have D less than 0, remember one thing, the curve, the function never cut to the x-axis, because we will not find no real values. We cannot find no real values. Means here means we cannot find the value of x. Means I want to say we cannot find x, right? Means the graph will never cut to the x-axis. The graph is always up, right? The graph is always up, something like this one. Okay, this is the graph of, just understand, this is what? X square plus x plus 1 in a square root, for example, right? This is always up. So here, whenever you give if the value of D is less than 0, this graph never cut to the x-axis. So I said to you, we have a graph here. This is, you can see, this is continue here. Okay, so we can say the domain of this one is from minus infinity to positive infinity. This was in type 3, I told you. Now my question is, if you have minus outside, means this is the condition, right? So guys, I'm going to ask you one thing here. If you give anything here, okay, this is my black marker. If you see here, if you give any value of x here, right, you will find the positive value, right? You will always give the positive value. For example, if I give x 0, so you can find what? 1 here, right? This is 1. But when you give the graph of this one, y is equal to under root minus x squared plus x plus 1, right? And I said to you, give any value of x here, because x belongs to real number, right? If you give any value of x here, what will happen? You will find the value of y here, right? This value is always positive. I showed you this one in the type 3, right? This one always has the positive value, but this is what? Minus. So if you have, for example, this is what? Like here, if I give x is equal to 0, so here we can say this is 1. So okay, I know here this is 1, but what we have? Minus 1. So we cannot find the real value of y, right? We cannot find the real value of y. Real value of y, yes or no? Because this is 1, I understand, this is 1, okay? But if this is minus 1, we cannot find, and when we cannot find, we cannot draw the graph, yes or no? For in this case, we cannot draw the graph, yes? Because whenever I put any value of x, the y has imaginary values, right? There is no real values of x, so we will not draw any graph, so there will be no domain of such function. No domain of such function, no domain. There is no domain because you cannot see any graph here. Guys, in my previous lecture, it was only, right? X squared plus x plus 1. So you can find the positive value. But when you apply the minus sign outside, there is no real value of y. So we will not draw. And when we will not draw any graph, we will find there is no domain in type 4. So whenever you have this question and it is asked you find the domain, you can say there is no domain of this function. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 questions so that you can solve this. I'm going to give you a question. The question y is equal to, for example, first I will say like this one, x square, and this is 2x, and this is, for example, 10, right? And I know that this is 4, and 4, 10, 40, so we cannot find it. And after then I can use what? Minus sign. Or you can say this is minus x square minus 2x plus 2. For example, I have this question only, okay? And the question is find domain. Find domain. Find the domain. So again, you can see here the value of a. A is what? Less than 0 because this is minus 1. And d you can calculate here. B square minus 4ac. B is minus 2. So minus 2 whole square minus 4 into a is minus 1. And c is what? 10. Okay. So this is 4. No. You cannot say this is. You can give here minus 10. 1 minute. Why I have written here plus 10? This is minus 10. I'm sorry. Why I have written? This will be minus. So minus x square minus 2x and minus 10. So this is minus 10. C is what? Minus 10, right? So you can say 4 and minus minus plus 10, 4, 40. So this is what? Minus 36, right? A is minus 2 whole square minus 4 into a is minus 1, c is minus 10, minus minus plus this is 10, 10 multiplied by 4, 40, 4 minus 40 minus 36. It means you can say d is what? Less than 0 and a is less than 0, right? This is your graph. I said to you in my type 3 that whenever you have this graph, this one, only this one, type 3, right? The graph is always up, something like this one, and you have always positive value of y. But whenever you have a minus, in type 4 you have a minus side, right? So for example, if you give here, for example, if you give x is equal to 0, right, the graph will be something like this one, minus 10 for example. Okay, so whenever you have a negative value here, when you give here sorry, okay, you have the graph x square plus 2x plus 10, for example this one, right? This is the graph of x square plus 2x plus 10. This is the graph of this one, right? Type 3. And for example, this is 10. Okay? But when you solve this question, this one here, minus x square minus 2x minus 10. This is your question, right? What is the domain? So here, you can say this can be written as minus x square plus 2x plus 10. And when x is equal to 0, y is equal to what? This is 10. It becomes minus 10. Can you find the real value of y? No, impossible. So here we will say we cannot draw the y, we cannot draw the graph, okay? Because in each and every values of x, this value is positive, and positive negative is always negative. So the domain is nothing. You can say no domain. No domain. Right? So type D has no domain. Means you cannot make any graph of type D. So there is no domain. Guys, I hope you all understand. And now there is only one topic left. Okay? And inshallah in next lecture I will cover this one. Okay? I hope you all guys understand. If you have a problem, just write down the comments. When we have a time, we will reply you. And I hope all the best. Take care. Bye bye. Assalamu alaikum.